education savings account and have access to a school like this that they otherwise would not have had access to. So it encourages me that will be happening in a much broader way across the state going forward. But I also just think we should look at, the programmatic aspects of this school, what are working for these young men, and those same programmatic lessons learned can be used in schools from public to private and everywhere in between.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
I just wanted to ask, if you don't mind, a little bit about, obviously, our state experienced some pretty significant storm damage last week. Do you just have a message to those families that were impacted and what the state's doing to help them right now?
Really heartbreaking. I went to McNairy County the morning after the storms. I've actually traveled around the state looking at damage. It was heartbreaking. There were devastated neighborhoods, people that lost everything. I talked to, some of our neighbors who lost everything in that storm. It was heartbreaking and heartwarming at the same time, because there were neighbors and churches and nonprofits, and you saw first responders and the Highway Patrol and the National Guard and TEMA, the professionals on the ground that morning doing the work of beginning recovery. So it's tough. It's a very difficult situation that people are in, but the response has been really good. I've spoken with the federal departments FEMA that will assist. The president was quick to give us a emergency declaration. So there's a lot of work to be done, a lot of damage done, but we're hard at work to make that right.
Can you expand on that assistance with FEMA? What's the status of that?
Well, we have to do assessments before. So FEMA, the president issues a declaration validating our emergency declaration that the state issues, and then that allows us to apply for federal funding through FEMA. And once the assessments are made and the damage has been counted, as it were, then we make those applications, and then the FEMA money starts to flow back. So there are generally weeks and months involved in that process, because we have to do assessments before you can ask for funding. But it's a process that's working.
When it comes, refocusing back on Peer Academy
Yeah.
for a second, obviously this building completely renovated. There are two others that still need to be done. What's the state's role going to be looking ahead in terms of funding and support for Peer Academy?
So this is a private school, and the education savings accounts will allow students' tuition in part to be paid through that education savings account. That's the primary responsibility and partnership of the state. There are additional funds through the budget process that we allocate to schools across the state, and they're depending on the outcome of the budget for this next couple of weeks when the General Assembly votes on it. So primarily the partnership is through the education savings account program, but we're very interested in the outcomes here, because when one school is succeeding, it informs our ability to impact other schools, both public and private, across the state. Kids succeeding is something we want to happen not only just in Memphis, but we want it to be happening all across Tennessee.
Governor Lee, there's ongoing conversations about MSCS. Any new reactions to the possible state takeover?
I think hard to know where that's going to go. There's a lot of conversation. The legislation has not moved forward yet, so something should be done to make certain that the children in Shelby County have the best possible education. There have been issues in the system. There have been turmoil at the leadership level. I have spoken into that in months past. What I would say right now is, I don't believe the children in the Shelby County school system are being served as well as they could be. There's concern at the local level for that. There's concern at the legislative level, and I believe people are bringing forth ideas that they think might help. I'm very interested in those ideas. We don't know what the final outcome's going to be. There's different pieces of legislation, but I'm interested in the children in this community and their access to a better educational system. So I'm open to ideas. We'll see
We
where
have
it
time for
goes.
a couple more.
Yep.
so-
Governor Lee, I know that the House bill is supposed to be heard in the Finance Subcommittee sometime next week, and State Representative Mark White has said that he's spoken to your administration about seeing if you're going to fund the 9 additional board managers. What is your response to that?
I think we'll see where it moves in committee. So oftentimes I'm asked about legislation that's coming. It has to go through committee. It has to go to the floor. There are steps long before it begins to come to my desk. And generally what I say is, when it gets closer to my desk, I'll start making real decisions about what has to happen, because at this point it's conjecture. I will say though, I'm very interested in proposals, because the status quo has not worked, and something needs to happen for these children. And I care deeply about the future of Memphis and Shelby County and the next generation of Memphians. It needs to move in the right direction. There are a lot of things happening in Memphis that are really positive. We're seeing on issues of crime, on issues of education. We have to continue to move Memphis forward. The next generation is key. So something ought to be done. I'm interested in all the proposals that are coming, and we'll see which ones make it through the legislature.
One more question
Go
about
ahead.
FEMA and the storm damage. There was a situation yesterday where a state senator in the city of Grand Junction posted about how FEMA was going to be set up in that area. A lot of people showed up looking for help, and then an official came out and told them it was just a rumor. People were pretty upset. Did you hear about that? Have any response? Know what happened?
Yeah, I don't know the details of that. I have been talking with FEMA at the federal level, and they have been a strong partner with us in disaster recovery in the past. It's very early in this disaster, but I can't speak to that particular instance.
Can you just speak to the kids that you met today and just talk about their experience
Yeah.
here and just what you've learned from hearing what
Yeah.
they said?
I met remarkable kids today. I saw hope in kids. I asked many of those boys, so what's different about what you're learning here? And some of their responses were, I'm learning to be a leader. That was inspiring to me. When a kid is not just talking about academically what they're learning, but skills they're learning that will allow them to be successful in life. And these young men, they come from unique situations, and I suspect they'll have some unique outcomes. But it's very encouraging to sit down at their level, get in their face, ask them, what's working for you, what's not. This is a model that, like I said before, could inform the way we educate kids across the state. So it was I absolutely loved talking with these young men today.
We can take one more, Lucas.
Yeah, I just wanted to go back, talking about the budget a little bit. Do you anticipate any additional funds in this budget cycle coming to Pure Academy?
There's a proposal for funds in this budget that has been presented, and if the legislature approves that there will be dollars coming to Pure Academy. It's one of the reasons I came over here. Look, some of these young men came to my office a year or two ago, and I met them, and I was very inspired by them, and so I wanted then to come back and see where they came from. That's what started my interest in Pure, besides a lot of folks that are engaged in this community, in this school. And there's proposed funding in the budget, so as that makes its way through, all the more reason to be here. Yes, sir.
Thank you, Governor Lee. As you know, last month, piggybacking on school vouchers, as you know, last month, the State Board of Education approved emergency policies, and so now it's up to the Board of Education to implement that. Are you confident that they'll be able to approve that, to be able to get the application process going? Are you confident that it'll be, ready before the next school year?
Well, it's why we moved so quickly. It's why we called a special session in January, was because in order to have kids enrolled in the fall, we needed that legislation to be passed in January so we could start the process of getting rules put in place and the application process in place. We have every reason to believe that it will happen in time for families to engage. The Department of Education's been communicating with folks. that have gone to the department's website. It's important for people that are interested in education freedom scholarships to look into them, to go online, to find out from the Department of Education what's going to be needed in order to apply for those. The applications will likely be released in a couple of weeks, 3 or 4 weeks. I don't know the particular time. But in the next month or so, parents, families, individuals will be able to apply for these scholarships. I believe with great certainty that they'll be ready to go in the fall. That's our intent and our hope. And frankly, there's thousands of families that are hoping so as well, and we're doing everything we can to make sure it's possible.
Any thoughts on the tariffs, Governor?
I think that there is a plan from the president. I was with him yesterday. I think, you know, one of the most encouraging things about what I've seen so far, yesterday Nissan in Nashville announced they were going to lay off an entire shift, hundreds of workers. And yesterday they reversed that decision because of the tariff policy and the fact that companies like theirs now have a real incentive to produce their automobiles in America and not offshore. It means that those hundreds of workers will not lose their job. That's a direct impact of the tariff policy in the state of Tennessee. It's very early, obviously. The decisions that are being made around President Trump's fiscal policy, those decisions are just being made. The impacts of those are very early. There's a lot of speculation about what's going to happen. But, you know, the president said what he wanted to do. The people elected him to do it, and he's following through on what he said he was going to do. I think it's a bold, courageous move to move in the direction that he is moving. Let me just say, something ought to have been done. We have an increasing debt in America that was going to drown this country. We have a growing size of federal government that was going to be a part of drowning this country. Something had to be done to bring efficiency to the federal government and to right the trade imbalances that are creating enormous deficits for this country. This policy is what the president believes is the right one. He's just put it into place. We've seen some positive impacts already. We'll wait to see what happens.
That's all.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Now tell me about this juice.
Green juice.
This is from.
Did you know that every morning I drink here? I drink. No, let me finish that statement. Let me finish that statement, okay? Carrots, beets, and juice, and kale juice, and it looks a lot like this.
Oh, it's really good. Spinach,
I don't drink anything unless someone tells me. Actually, unless a reliable source tells me.
Okay.
All right.
Spinach, apple, pineapple.
And who makes it?
Ruby Gratitude, small black-owned business. And you have some for the claim.
We're gonna.
That is groovy gratitude. I need to stop by there. That's awesome.
Thank you. Thank you for coming.
Hey, thank you, everybody. Yep. Thank you. Yep. Thank you, sir.
Good to be with you. Okay, good.
See you, brother. Hey, thanks.
Always good to see you.
I'll talk to you.
Thank you, Lisa. Appreciate you.